Right now, there is a version of your life you did not choose. You can see it. It has a different job in it, a different city, a different face across the breakfast table, a different you who somehow wakes up easier in the morning. You did not decide to imagine that. Your brain built it without asking permission. And the strange part is not that you can picture it. The strange part is that some quiet part of you is grieving it. But the real answer is far stranger than a daydream, because parallel realities are not something your mind fails to understand. They are something your mind has been doing badly every single day since you were about 4 years old. Physicists gave the idea a name in 1957. Your brain had already been running the software for 200,000 years. It was never designed to run it well. In 1957, a graduate student at Princeton submitted a doctoral thesis that almost nobody wanted. His name was Hugh Everett III. His advisor was John Wheeler, one of the most respected physicists of the century, and the idea inside that thesis was simple enough to say in a single sentence. Everett said the universe never chooses. To understand why that was so offensive, you need one piece of physics, and you only need it in plain English. At the smallest scale, a particle does not have one definite position. It has a spread of possibilities, all coexisting, all mathematically real. Physicists call that a superposition. It just means the particle is smeared across several outcomes at once, then you measure it, and the spread vanishes. One outcome survives, the rest disappear, and nobody has ever explained the mechanism of that disappearance. Physicists called it the collapse of the wave function, which sounds like an explanation but is really just a label for a mystery. Everett's move was to delete the collapse entirely. Nothing vanishes, he said. Every outcome happens. The reason you only see one is that you are inside the system, and you split along with it. There is not one version of you looking at one result. There is a version of you for every result, each convinced it is the only one, each with a perfectly consistent memory of the moment. Do you feel how little that helps you? That is the first clue. Everett's mathematics is elegant. The physics community eventually took it seriously, and a physicist named Bryce DeWitt popularized it in the 1970s and gave it the name you know today, the many worlds interpretation. But Everett himself did not stay to defend it. He left academia, went to work on nuclear weapons analysis for the American defense establishment, drank heavily, and died in 1982 at 51 years old. He had described a reality with room for everything. He lived in only one of them, and the multiverse got bigger after him. In the 1980s, the physicist Alan Guth developed the theory of cosmic inflation, the idea that the early universe expanded impossibly fast in its first fraction of a second. André Linde pushed the theory further and found something nobody was looking for. Once inflation starts, it may never fully stop. It keeps going in the space between, budding off new regions forever, each one its own universe with its own constants, its own physics, possibly its own kind of chemistry. Later, the physicist Max Tegmark organized all of this into levels, a whole taxonomy of multiverses, ranked from merely enormous to genuinely unthinkable. None of that is why the word multiverse does something to your chest. You are not moved by inflationary cosmology. You are moved because you have your own multiverse, a small private one, and it has exactly one branch you care about. The one where you said yes. The one where you left earlier. The one where you picked up the phone. Psychologists have a name for the machinery that builds those branches. They call it counterfactual thinking. Counter to fact. Your brain constructing a version of events that did not happen and running it anyway. And here is what is genuinely bizarre about it. Your brain does not run that simulation neutrally the way a computer would. It runs it emotionally. It feels the branch. In 1982, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, the two psychologists who rewrote our understanding of human judgment, described a scenario so clean it has been repeated in classrooms for 40 years. Two men arrive at the airport 30 minutes after their scheduled departure time. Mr. Crane's flight left on time. Mr. Tease's flight was delayed and departed 5 minutes ago. Who is more upset? Almost everyone says Mr. Tease. Overwhelmingly. And yet, the outcome is identical. Both men missed their flights by exactly the same amount of clock time. Both are standing in the same terminal with the same problem. The only difference is how close the other branch feels. Kahneman and Tversky called this the simulation heuristic. Your pain does not scale with what happened. Your pain scales with how easily your brain can render the alternative. 5 minutes is easy to render. 30 minutes is not. So one man is devastated and one man shrugs, and neither of them is responding to reality. They are responding to the vividness of a reality that does not exist. Now hold that idea, because it shows up in the strangest place. In 1995, the psychologists Victoria Medvec, Scott Mady, and Thomas Gilovich studied footage of Olympic medalists on the podium. Not their performances, their faces. Independent judges rated the athletes' expressions without knowing which medal each one had won. Silver medalists looked less happy than bronze medalists. Think about what that means. The silver medalist objectively did better, second best in the world. And they look worse, consistently across events. Because the silver medalist's brain is rendering one branch, and that branch is gold. It was inches away. It is easy to see. The bronze medalist's brain is rendering a different branch. Fourth place. No podium, no photograph, nothing. Same podium. Two different invisible universes. Two completely different emotional realities. So your brain can generate parallel worlds. What it cannot do is hold them properly, and this is where the whole system breaks. Your brain is a single-track simulator. It does not run two realities side by side and compare them fairly. It runs one, then the other, then declares a winner based on whichever one it just finished feeling. There is no parallel processing here. There is only a sequence you mistake for a comparison. And the simulations are not built to the same standard. The life you are living is fully rendered, in every unflattering detail, including the traffic and the dishes and the ordinary Tuesday afternoons. The life you did not choose is a highlight reel with no maintenance costs. The Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert spent decades studying this gap, what he and Timothy Wilson called affective forecasting, our ability to predict how future events will make us feel. We are consistently bad at it. When you imagine the other life, you imagine the wedding, not the 12,000 Tuesdays. You imagine the arrival, not the commute. You imagine being a different person without simulating the part where you are still yourself when you get there. So the comparison was never fair. It could not be. One universe is a documentary and the other is a trailer. Does it surprise you that more options makes this worse? In 2000, Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper ran a study in an upscale grocery store. On some days, they set out a tasting table with 24 varieties of jam. On other days, 6. The large display attracted more people to stop and look, which is what you would expect. But the small display sold roughly 10 times more jam. That result has been argued over ever since, and the size of the effect depends heavily on context. But the core intuition survived, and the psychologist Barry Schwartz built a whole framework on it. Every option you do not take does not disappear. It stays. It becomes a branch. 24 jams means 23 tiny ghosts standing behind whatever you chose. And your brain, being a counterfactual engine, will happily render every one of them. This is the twist you may not want. That machinery is not a flaw. The psychologist Neil Rose spent his career showing that counterfactual thinking is functional. It has a job. When you replay the version where you left earlier, you are not just suffering. You are extracting a rule. Leave earlier. Say it sooner. Do not trust that person twice. The same faculty that lets you mourn a life you never had is the faculty that lets you plan a life you have not reached yet. You cannot run one without the other. The capacity to imagine an alternative is the capacity to change course, and no other animal on this planet does it at anything close to your resolution. Your regret is the exhaust of your foresight, but that system evolved for a world with about 5 options in it. Your ancestors could imagine the hunt going differently, or the other route, or the other tribe. A handful of branches, all local, all closable. Now look at your phone. Every time you scroll, someone hands you a fully rendered parallel version of your life. The person who moved abroad. The person who started the business. the person who is somehow 31 and finished. These are not your branches. They are strangers' documentaries, edited into trailers, and your counterfactual engine cannot tell the difference. It just receives a vivid, easy-to-render alternative and starts doing the only thing it knows how to do. You have not invented a new emotion, you have industrialized an old one, and there is a cost to living in the branches. In 2010, Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert built an app that pinged thousands of people at random moments and asked what they were doing and whether their mind was elsewhere. People's minds were wandering nearly half of their waking hours. And when the mind wandered, people were reliably less happy than when it did not, regardless of what they were actually doing at the time. The wandering was not a symptom of the unhappiness. It came first. So here is what your brain is actually doing when the word multiverse makes something ache. It is not struggling to grasp quantum mechanics. It is doing something much older and much more human. It is standing at the one door it walked through and staring back at all the doors it did not, using a simulator that renders your real life in full and your imagined lives in soft focus, and then asking you to accept the verdict. You are not bad at parallel realities. You are extraordinary at generating them. You are simply, permanently, unable to visit one. And if Everett was right, if the mathematics has no collapse in it and every outcome truly happens, then there is something worth noticing in that. Those other versions are not watching you. They are not comparing. Each one is fully occupied being the only one that exists, standing in its own single life, aching over branches of its own. Every version of you thinks it is the one that got the ordinary universe. So look again at the version of your life you did not choose. You are not living beside it. You are not losing to it. You are the only branch that ever woke up, in the only universe that ever rendered in full detail, feeling the weight of alternatives that no other creature on Earth could even imagine. That weight is not evidence that you chose wrong. It is the receipt for a mind that could imagine choosing at all.